Jack Smith may have just found a way to get Judge Aileen Cannon recused from the Mar-a-Lago documents case. And now let's see if Judge Cannon takes the bait. Hi, I'm Dave Aronberg, State Attorney for Palm Beach County, a.k.a. the Florida Lawman, here on the MeidasTouch Network. Now let's talk about Jack Smith and his ongoing frustrations with Judge Cannon here in my neck of the woods, South Florida. Now, as soon as Judge Cannon was assigned to the Mar-a-Lago documents case, I knew that the case would not go before the election. Judge Cannon is inexperienced. Yes, she was appointed by Donald Trump. And yes, she's given a lot of rulings that have been favorable to Donald Trump, even though she's a former assistant U.S. attorney, someone who is perceived as pro-prosecution. But when it comes to Donald Trump, she's Better Call Saul. She's a lot more pro-defendant. But perhaps we can chalk it up benignly enough to lack of experience. And she's alone in the satellite courthouse over in Fort Pierce. There are no other judges there. She's there just with her clerks. So there's no one to help guide her through this maze of SEPA rules. That's the federal law that pertains to these classified documents. And you have her clerks who are there with her, but it's been a revolving door. Some of them have left for various reasons. And so it's paralysis by analysis there. Everything seems to be taking forever. And instead of just evaluating Trump's endless stream of motions on the paper, she is holding hearings on every motion and not even combining a lot of these motions. She's just doing one at a time, and it's taking forever. And so no surprise that this trial is going to happen after the election. And if Donald Trump becomes president, well, it will never happen at all. He will just order his attorney general to dismiss everything. So that's why so many of us are frustrated, because justice delayed is justice denied. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, it's all corruption. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to just focus on what Jack Smith is doing now to combat it. Because the other question you have asked is, why can't he get her recused? Well, it's a very high burden to get a federal judge recused from a case. And to get there, you need to have a final order that she has put out there that Jack Smith can then appeal and then ask for recusal, saying, hey, she's biased. This happened last year when Judge Cannon stepped into the investigation of Donald Trump and imposed this special master and slowed everything down. Got involved in an executive branch investigation as a member of the judiciary and put a kibosh on it, which was even beyond what Donald Trump had asked for. And Jack Smith appealed, and she was not only reversed, she was removed from the whole matter and humiliated. So she doesn't want that to happen again. So she's been very careful about putting out these final orders. Jack Smith has been frustrated, but every time he has pushed back, it seems like Judge Cannon has capitulated or at least not issued the final order. So Jack Smith has been stuck with this in the sense of the state of purgatory. I call it dilatory purgatory. That's what's been going on. Okay. So now Jack Smith has decided to ratchet it up to put her, Judge Cannon, in a bit of a pickle, because he is now asking Judge Cannon to change the conditions of Donald Trump's release. I know some of the press have referred to this as a gag order, but there's already restrictions on what Donald Trump can say as part of his pretrial release. Now, Jack Smith is trying to tighten it further to say, Judge Cannon, we do not need any more threats against law enforcement, because we've seen what happened in Cincinnati after Donald Trump put out social media content attacking law enforcement and the FBI, and then the FBI headquarters in Cincinnati was shot up by one of Trump's extremist supporters. So what Jack Smith is saying is, now that Donald Trump and his lawyers have been putting out this nonsense about how the FBI and the Biden administration tried to have Trump assassinated during the search of the Mar-a-Lago property, that is unacceptable, that's going to lead to violence, and it's also totally false. So let's stop any future comments by Donald Trump attacking the FBI and law enforcement. That should not be part of a gag order. That should be part of his pretrial release. That means if he violates it, he can go to jail. The whole condition that he has on being on pretrial release includes a variety of factors, and Jack Smith now wants this to be an additional factor. You badmouth law enforcement, you spread this stuff out the FBI, your leashes is pulled. Your pretrial release is revoked. So now it's up to Judge Cannon. Judge Cannon is going to have to decide whether to grant the motion or not. Now, you know what Trump wants. He definitely does not want this granted. And Judge Cannon gave Trump what he wanted, which was to reject Jack Smith's request to modify the bond conditions. But when she did that, she did it without prejudice. Essentially, what she did was to say there's a local rule in place, and the local rule requires that both sides must talk to each other, try to work it out in advance. And Jack Smith, you didn't work it out in advance. And so we're going to dismiss this, refile it once you guys have spoken. Now, in Jack Smith's defense, he tried to reach out to Trump's legal team, and Trump's legal team said, let's wait on this. Delay. And this was before the Memorial Day weekend. And so Jack Smith said, I don't want to wait until after the Memorial Day weekend. We need to act on this now because law enforcement is at risk. They're at risk because of your client's inflammatory comments. And Trump's legal team said, we'll get back to you later. And so that's when Jack Smith filed the motion. And that's when Judge Cannon said, you gotta talk to the other side. Even if it's on the defense's schedule, you need to have that conversation. So she dismissed the request, and then Jack Smith refiled it. He refiled it in total. Like, he didn't even change a word. He just refiled it. But what he did add was a certificate that they had indeed discussed the case. I hereby certify that on May 29, 2024, counsel for the government and defendant Trump conferred telephonically about the relief the government seeks in this motion and communicated further via email on May 30th and May 31st. Government counsel have conferred in a good faith effort to resolve the issues raised in the motion. But surprise, surprise, we're unable to do so. Counsel for defendant Trump agreed that no further conferral was necessary and requested that the following statement be included here. And then there's this whole statement about how Trump opposes the motion. This is from the defense and not from the prosecution, because the first words in this statement is President Trump opposes the motion. That's not how the prosecution refers to Donald Trump. And so here, Jay Brad, who signed this, Jack Smith, the special counsel, they submitted this. And they said, Judge Cannon, here, this is what you asked for. We did it. Okay? Happy now? Now let's move forward. And Judge Cannon has just responded in a paperless order. Judge Cannon just said, on or before June 14, 2024, defendant Trump shall respond to 592, the special counsel's motion for modification of conditions of release. And then she sets a deadline of June 21st. that Jack Smith has to reply to Trump's response. So this is now in motion. And I think this is a good thing, because this will lead to a final order by Judge Cannon. She's not going to just sit on it and delay, which is my big fear, that she just delays and sits on it, because in the absence of a final order, Jack Smith cannot appeal it to the 11th Circuit and then can't ask for her removal. So this is why I think this is a big deal. And it's the first step towards potentially removing Judge Cannon from the case. Because now that this is set for a response from Trump, then a reply by Jack Smith, then it'll be a decision, an order by Judge Cannon. And if she denies this order, then Jack Smith can take it up to the 11th Circuit and seek her removal from the case. So if you're wondering why this matters, it matters for a lot of reasons. Not just for the reasons stated in the underlying motion to protect law enforcement, but also to perhaps have a change in judge, because this case is not happening anytime soon. So one thing Jack Smith has is the luxury of time, knowing that this case doesn't have to be heard before the election because there's no chance of it. He can then take it up to the 11th Circuit and seek her removal. But Judge Cannon is aware of this. And every time it's a do or die time for her, when it comes to a potential appeal to the 11th Circuit and recusal, removal, she seems to capitulate and give in so that Jack Smith can't seek her removal. She does not want to be thrown off this case. It would be humiliating. And so we'll see what happens here. Either way, I think this is going to be a win for Jack Smith, because either he gets his way with this motion and Trump's conditions of his bond are now changed to where if he says anything else about law enforcement, he goes to jail, or Jack Smith loses the motion but then gets to appeal to the 11th Circuit, which he wants to do. So that's the latest. I'm Dave Aronberg, aka the Florida Lawman, here on MeidasTouch Network. If you like this video, please like it, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. Also, check out our new channel, True Crime MTN, where we take on true crime cases that don't make it onto MeidasTouch Classic, but are cases that you may be interested in, like the Alec Baldwin trial coming up, like the Brian Koberger quadruple murder case in Idaho. So check us out, and I'll see you next time.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.